Welcome to another episode of Vintage Lunchbox Reviews, the show in which I review my vintage lunchboxes. It's right there in the name. Well, folks, it's time to play the music. It's time to light the lights. It's time to meet the Muppets on the Vintage Lunchbox Review show tonight. What we have here is the one and only Fozzie Bear telling jokes both far and rare. Is that the way it went? I don't know. This is a 1979 Muppets lunchbox featuring Fozzie Bear. There were multiple versions of this lunchbox, all released in 1979. The Muppet Show was on the air from 1976 to 1981, so this would have been right around the third season, probably the peak in popularity of the great Muppet Show. If you were a kid like I was, who grew up in the late 70s, 80s, the Muppet Show was on TV. It was on when I got home from school. It was on in reruns. I remember watching it all the time. Could not get enough of the Muppets. And then, of course, beginning, in the early 80s, right around then is when we started getting all those Muppet movies. The Muppet Movie, The Great Muppet Caper, The Muppets Take Manhattan, and they've never ended. Even though the many of the performers have some have moved on and some have passed on, including Jim Henson, who was the voice of Kermit the Frog and the heart and soul of the Muppets. But not Frank Oz, who was Fozzie Bear. So, was Frank Oz Fozzie Bear? Yeah, he has to be Fozzie Bear. I was like, oh, did I get that wrong? No. Anyway, so we'll take a look at this lunchbox real quick. First of all, I want to point out that this is probably... I can think of two other ones, but this is probably one of the lunchboxes that's in the worst condition of any of my lunchboxes. And I only bought this because it had Fozzie Bear, and I like Fozzie Bear. But I bought this very early on. And if I were to run across this one today in the same condition, I probably wouldn't buy it. I'd probably spend a little bit more money and buy one in a better condition. This one is very faded, and not just on one side, but on most of the sides. And what it has done is it has caused certain colors to fade, which has made it very discolored. So anyway, we will take a look at it. It's not the pride and joy of my lunchbox collection, but I do like the character who is featured on it. Here we have Fozzie Bear doing one of his famous comedy bits of answering a banana, pretending it is a telephone. On the other side here, we have the Muppets, and you can see there are a lot of the most popular characters. We could see Gonzo, we could see Kermit, we could see the Scooter down there. There's Ralph the dog up there. Looks like we could see a bit of animal. Of course, Miss Piggy, and that looks like Robin, who was Kermit's nephew, and of course Fozzie the Bear. Now, there are multiple Muppet lunchboxes with this same design, and I have other ones that are in better condition than this one. So this side is always the same, but this side features a different Muppet. So this one is Fozzie, and we'll see some of the other ones I have later in the week. If it looks like or feels like there is a method to the madness in the order in which I am presenting lunchboxes, you're kind of right. Because when I set them up on display, I kind of put them in themes. So like I put all the Muppet ones together. So we may have several Muppet ones in a row. But the problem is that there are 3 shelf high of lunchboxes, and sometimes they're stacked on top of each other in a similar theme. So things may come and go. Don't expect any real order. This is a show that's all about chaos and lunchboxes. So we'll take a look here at the top. And the handle is missing off of this one, so that is indicative of what kind of shape it is. We can see Dr. Bunsen Honeydew over there on the left. We've got Statler and Waldorf. We look the pigs from the Pigs in Space are in there. So this is just a star-studded one of those lunchboxes that has lots of characters on every side. This guy is... what has one of my favorite punchlines from the Muppet movie, where they are trying to buy a car, and they need the car lifted, and the car salesman, who I believe is Milton Berle, says, hey, Jack, lift this car. And then Kermit says, hi, Jack. And he says, Jack, not name, Jack, job. So his name wasn't Jack. He was the Jack. He came and lifted the car. So we've got Jack down here. We have Sam the Eagle, very patriotic character on the Muppets. Has another great line where at the end of the Happiness Hotel song and the Great Muppet Caper, they do this. I think that's where it is, but it's at the end of a big song and dance number, and then Sam opens the door, looks out, and he goes, "You are all weirdos." Then shuts the door. I like. He's very much a straight man in the comedy. On the bottom here, I don't know who this guy is here, right there. I'm not sure who that is. But we've got some members of the Electric Mayhem there. It looks like we've got, what's his name? Floyd Pepper, which is a combination of Pink Floyd and Sgt. Pepper. Floyd Pepper. And we've got Animal and Miss Piggy all posing there. Then again, we have Statler and Waldorf there on the corner. And gosh, it's just hard to see some of these just because it's so faded. This lunchbox is so faded. I'll tell you one thing that I don't love. Oh, by here we've got looks like Dr. Teeth has got his own spot on the corner there. Another great line from the Muppet movie is it sets up a big joke, but Kermit and the Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem are practicing in a Presbyterian church, and Kermit and Fozzie stick their heads in, and the band is playing, and Fozzie goes, "They don't look like Presbyterians to me." And then later, Dr. Teeth gets a copy of the script, and he's reading it, so he's reading the same lines again, but in his own voice, and he goes, "Don't look like Presbyterians to me." Muppet humor, man. Very funny. So anyway, again, this side, there's Camilla. I didn't even see Camilla the chicken. That's Gonzo's, that he was always in love with. Camilla, walk. So a lot of great Muppets. This would have been a great lunchbox to own, during the height of the Muppets, if you were a kid back then. Because they all have voices, and kids love doing voices, and they love doing bits, so you could take this, and then people would go, "Oh, did you see this on the Muppet Show?" Or "Remember this from the movie?" And they would see that, so it would kind of spark that conversation. Now, I will say that on the inside of this one, is a whole lot of nothing. It's actually not in too bad condition on the inside, but we're missing the thing that we normally get, where it shows us where to put the thermos. And I know this came with a thermos because the other one I have has the thermos. Kind of had an odd smell to it, but nothing too scary. Also, it's interesting to look at these one after another, because on a lot of the old ones, like on the Lidsville one, which I just reviewed yesterday, you saw that metal clasp that went over this. And on this one, by now, this is 79, you can see that's been replaced, I'm going to show this here, by this little plastic latch right here. See that? So when the lid closes up, you just kind of push on there, it snaps in, and that would keep your lunch sealed in there. So, again, you can kind of look at this side is sort of faded. The color is off a little bit, and then this side is really faded. So this was probably on display somewhere, probably in a flea market window for a long time, and the colors got faded on there. Again, if I were shopping today, I don't know that I would buy one in this condition. It was great. Sometimes I call these shelf filler. Like, this was a good shelf filler one early on in the collection. But if I were a huge, I do like Fozzie Bear. But if I were looking specifically for a Fozzie Bear one, I'd probably go online. They're not really that expensive. I've seen these for, in decent condition, much better condition than this, for, between $20 and $30. I think I probably paid. I had a rule in the early days when I started collecting metal lunchboxes. I didn't want to spend more than $20 on a metal lunchbox. Obviously, I have spent more than that on them since then, but that was kind of my goal. And so I suspect I paid probably $15, maybe 15 to 20 for this one. Again, if I were doing it today, I'd probably spend a few extra dollars to get one that wasn't quite so faded. So I will be putting this one back up on the shelf. Tune in tomorrow around lunchtime to see what is next on the Lunchbox menu.